So my favorite team got their butts kicked on Thanksgiving Day, and that means I am turning my attention to mock drafts for the foreseeable future. But no, seriously, I just wanted to do my first mock draft of the year. Thanksgiving seems like an appropriate time to do so. I've got the correct draft order up to Thanksgiving Day. Obviously, things will change through the weekend, but wanted to go ahead and do it, put it out there for you guys, and let's see where everybody is. The Bears coming in with the first overall pick, thanks to the Carolina Panthers. I think that Caleb Williams has a little bit of stuff going on. I don't think it's a big deal that he's passionate and cried about a game. Yeah, they're losing some games, but like some of the best quarterbacks to ever play didn't go undefeated or win national championships. I'm not too worried about that. I still think he's the best prospect on the board. Maybe they trade Justin Fields, but I think Caleb Williams will be the answer here at number one. The Cardinals are up at number two. They've also got to figure out their quarterback situation. Do they continue to roll with Kyler Murray? He hasn't really appeared to be the guy. He's an above average quarterback, but I don't think that he's the answer there. I think that they go Drake May, and they'll trade Kyler to figure out what they can get for him. I still think someone out there will pay a first round pick for him. Patriots are up. They would have loved to have been able to take Drake May. Mac Jones is not the answer. There's a good chance that maybe there's some trading into the second or third pick by somebody just to be able to get a chance at drafting him. But they desperately need a wide receiver, so we're going to give them Marvin Harrison Jr. Although I'm going to be honest, Keon Coleman is moving up the board for me. He might be the number one wide receiver when it's all said and done. He's just got elite size and hands. Like he's killing it this year. Bears are right back up. They had Caleb Williams. They've got to address the offensive line. So we'll give them Olu Fashanu. I mean, to come away from a draft with Caleb Williams and Olu Fashanu, the top quarterback, the top left tackle, that they got to feel great about it. There's obviously a strong chance they'll have a brand new coach, maybe a new GM, which I think will increase the likelihood that they take Caleb Williams first overall. The Giants are up. They have a lot to figure out. Daniel Jones is on still a massive contract. They're not in a position to take a quarterback. J.J. McCarthy. Michael Penix is going to keep going up some boards. I think Bo Nix is going to be a first-round quarterback when it's all said and done. He's had a great year. It sounds more and more like Shador's not coming out this year, and Jaden Daniels is flying up boards as well. So I think you're going to be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 4 more quarterbacks going in the first round. These are not accurate rankings for them at all. But I don't think the Giants can take one. They've said they're rolling with him for another year. Offensive line is pretty solid. They've got to get some weapons. I think this is either a Brock Bowers or Keon Coleman pick. And I'm going to take Keon Coleman because the wide receiver position is just more valuable than the tight end position, even though it is Brock Bowers. The Titans are up. They might be rolling with Will Levis for the foreseeable future. They need kind of help everywhere. I think edge rush makes a lot of sense with Dallas Turner. I also really like Jared Verse. He's fallen down boards a little bit, but to me, he's still pretty high level. They have a decent offensive line, but Joe Alt's pretty good right there. Kool-Aid McKinstry is the top corner off the board, could be here. I'm curious what they have their needs to be. They usually have it, but I guess not. Wrong site. So we're going to go with Dallas Turner here. I'm going to give them the top edge rusher and keep it moving. They've got decent receivers, assuming they get healthy, and assuming they bring back DeAndre Hopkins. And then you've got Washington. They're going to have a new GM. They just fired Jack Del Rio as of like 30 minutes ago, the time of this recording. So I think the writing's on the wall. It's going to be new GM, new coaches. Sam Howell has appeared to have done enough to earn himself another year, depending on what the new GM thinks. But right here, I think you give him a weapon, or you have to protect him. So it's either Brock Bowers or Joe Alt or J.C. Latham. The sexy pick is Brock Bowers, but if they're building from the ground up, if this is truly a rebuild, then you need to get offensive linemen, and I'm going to give them Joe Alt. Falcons are up. They also are looking for a quarterback, and I think this might be where they go for one. I don't think that Arthur Smith's going to be the coach again. He's fallen apart, and he's kind of become a laughingstock with how much he hates fantasy football, and no one can figure out why they drafted Bijan Robinson if they're not going to play him. So to me, it's going to be a quarterback here. They might trade back to do so. But personally, out of all of them, I like Michael Penix Jr., so I'm going to give them him. Let me know if you disagree, if you think someone else would be the third ranked quarterback. But that's where I'm going. Packers are up. Jordan Love appears to have done enough to get himself another year. I like Brock Bowers here. We're going to give him, an elite weapon. They've got good wide receivers now. Give him an elite tight end and see what he does with it. After that, maybe it's a quarterback next year if he can't improve. Bucks, coming into this year, I would have said that there's no doubt that they're going quarterback, but Baker Mayfield appears to have been doing enough. There's the team needs. They appear to think that quarterback is still it, but I'm going to go offensive lineman J.C. Latham. He is still a really strong option. He's for sure a top 10 pick, so at 10, you got to feel good getting him. The Jets. If Aaron Rodgers says that he's coming back, and shoot, they may not know by draft time. But regardless, I think they need a quarterback, but they might do that in the second round. Get somebody that can learn under Rodgers for a year or two, depending on what his outcome looks like. He still claims he's going to be back in December, so we'll see what that looks like. So for the time being, then I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them some more offensive weapons because their defense is elite at this point. Malik Neighbors. They don't need running back. Ibuka from Ohio State is really good as well. Xavier Worthy's like the speed demon, and if they weren't picking so high, then I would go with him. I'll go with Malik Neighbors from LSU. Get them another wide receiver opposite Garrett Wilson, and that should be great for Aaron Rodgers. Pretty intriguing for him to have that option. Chargers, another team that is likely to have sweeping changes in the front office and coaching ranks. They are the epitome of what if. Just because they seem to be incredibly talented at every position, but just can't put it all together. I'm going to give them help in the secondary. Kool-Aid McKinstry stops dropping. Number 12 right here. Their experiment with J.C. Jackson didn't go well. They still have great safeties and edge rushers, so this will help them out here. The Rams are up. I think Matthew Stafford might be coming towards the end of his career, but we'll see. Every year he might consider retiring. They need edge rush help. Jared Verse is sitting here. I think that's pretty simple. If they were picking later, maybe they go quarterback, and things may change between now and then depending on what Stafford decides to do, but they've got good wide receivers. They've got a pretty decent offensive line, and I just don't believe in drafting running backs this high, at least not in this class. I'm curious who the Trayvon Henderson, and I really like Will Shipley. He's white, but he's not Christian McCaffrey. The Raiders are up next. Another team that's going to be potentially making sweeping changes. They definitely need to get a new GM, but Antonio Pierce seems to be making a case to be the guy there. They've got good wide receivers, assuming they keep Devontae Adams. They've got decent edge rush. They could use some secondary. Offensive line would be great. But I'm going to give them secondary help. We're going to give them Cooper DeJean from Iowa. Give them a corner to help in their secondary, hopefully slow down other teams. Their offense has been decent, and Aiden McConnell looks like he might be the guy, at least for another year. Colts are up. Anthony Richardson's going to come back. He looked great before the injury. Assuming he recovers fully and doesn't pull a Cam Newton, then he should be fine. So they need some wide receiver help. They need an edge rush. Actually, maybe they don't need wide receiver. Downs seems to be doing pretty well. Pittman's solid. I'm going to go edge rush. Chop Robinson seems to be the pick here. Interior defensive line, they're pretty solid. I can't believe that they got rid of. Sorry, he doesn't go by Shaq anymore. Darius Leonard. I can't believe they just released him. We'll see where he signs. He may have signed by the time you see this. So linebacker could be a need as well. Jeremiah Trotter's sitting there. But I'm going to give them Chop Robinson. Give them some edge rush. And moving on to the Broncos, Russell Wilson seems to have done enough to keep the job. They've got good wide receivers. That's not an option. I'm going to go defensive tackle. It appears to be their top need according to this website as well. So we're going to give them Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. And then on to the Bengals. Is anyone else scared that Joe Burrow's going to pull an Andrew Luck? Like, he's just continuously getting injured, and it ends his season. I am so worried that he's going to pull an Andrew Luck. They aren't going to be able to keep. I believe it's Higgins is going to be out of a contract. Tyler Boyd, I'm not sure his contract situation. They might need a wide receiver, and there's some. They listed that as their second need. I think they figure out a way to keep Higgins, or at least sign a free agent. When you got Jamar Chase and potentially still Boyd, I just don't know that you've got to go draft one in the first round. To me, corner or offensive line, Nate Wiggins is solid out of Clemson. I'm going to go Fuaga out of Oregon State. They've got to protect Burrow. If he's going to come back, he has to know that he's not going to get hit as often as he's been getting hit. And the Bills are up. They need a lot. They are not the team that we thought they were. Josh Allen's struggling with interceptions. They can't keep him upright. They're struggling to run the ball on a consistent basis. Their defense is not able to stop many people. I'm going to give them Nate Wiggins, the corner. We're nowhere near Josh Allen not being the starting quarterback next year. But if he has another year like this or worse, then there's going to be conversation. Sean McDermott's going to be in trouble. He's going to be on the hot seat. And there may be sweeping changes at that point. I'm not going to pull the fire alarm on them yet, but Nate Wiggins is going to be the pick here. Saints are up. Saints are a confusing team to me. Their defense is solid. I think they've got to go quarterback. Derek Carr is not going to be the answer long term. To me, I like Bo Nix. I'm not a J.J. McCarthy guy. I see that they've got him ranked higher. If you're a Michigan fan, let me know in the comments why I should be picking him higher, but I'm giving them Bo Nix. They're going to get their quarterback of the future, and maybe he sits for 1 year behind Derek Carr to learn. But I think sooner rather than later, he's going to be taking snaps as the starter. Vikings. Will Kirk Cousins be back? If he's not back, is Justin Jefferson going to hold out and try to get traded or, I guess, become a free agent? He'll probably get franchise tag. There's no way they let him walk for free. Vikings have a lot to figure out, and I think they either have to go quarterback or they have to go wide receiver, depending on what they're. If they bring back Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, obviously they don't go either of those routes. But they might need to get a quarterback to back up Kirk Cousins. He's got the season-ending injury. They need help on defense as well. I don't know. Let's operate under the assumption that they figure out a way to get Cousins and Jefferson back. I think that's the safest thing to do. I think they'll figure it out. So I'm going to go defense. Cameron Kinchens out of Miami is extremely good. Denzel Burke from Ohio State's pretty solid. I think I'm going to have to go with Kinchens out of Miami. I would love to give them Jeremiah Trotter. I just don't know that linebacker is valued as much as the secondary. We're back to the Cardinals. So we went with Drake May, full rebuild mode. They got to get some defensive help as well because they're not good on that side. Defensive line is what they need to prioritize. This is just not the area for that. So I think I'm going to go corner, and we're going to give them Kalen King out of Penn State, helping that secondary. There's a lot of edge rushers in free agency. Maybe they can attract some of them, but I'm going to give them King to go here. Seahawks are up. They need to decide if Geno Smith is going to be the future. He has fallen back from where he was last season. Last season, he was an MVP candidate. Here, they're fighting for playoff contention, and he is struggling to take care of the ball a little bit more. He had a little injury, but they got blown out by the 49ers yesterday. I'm gonna go linebacker here. We're gonna give them Jeremiah Trotter. I'm gonna stick on that side. They've still got the great wide receivers. They just drafted Smith and Jigba. Protection's not terrible. They could use an offensive line, but I think Jeremiah Trotter's the move here. All right, Steelers. They need a quarterback. Kenny Pickett is not the answer. Here you go. J.J. McCarthy to the Steelers. If you disagree, if you're a Steelers fan, let me know why I should trust that Pickens is the guy. Maybe they're a candidate to give up a pick to get Kyler Murray or who else would be available. I don't know. Kyler Murray might be the answer there. Texans, what a turnaround. C.J. Stroud's the guy. He's an MVP candidate. Legitimately. He's for sure the offensive rookie of the year. They're going to have the coach of the year. what are they? I mean, their wide receivers look significantly better than we thought they were, but they're still in need, and this is kind of the spot to do it. So they've got Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Noah Brown. You know, to me, Xavier Worthy is, his ceiling is. Let's see if they've got it. Zay Flowers. Okay, I like that comparison. If you get a Zay Flowers here, you are thrilled because he has been killing it. But also need to protect your quarterback. You could go Marius Mims for offensive tackle. I also really like Latu from UCLA for edge rush. I think those are our options: Worthy, Mims, or Latu or Latu. I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm gonna say that they build from the inside out. And we're going to get Mims here. Wide receivers, one of these guys is going to drop to the second round. Maybe they're able to trade up to the end of the first round to get a fifth-year option on him. But here we are. Team needs for the Dolphins, offensive line for sure, and secondary, and defensive line. I'm going to go with Tyleik Williams. He's the best value here. They just can't take a wide receiver. They're too stacked. Denzel Burke could make some sense here. I think I'm going to change my mind. Denzel Burke's going to be the pick, helping the secondary. With the amount that they score, they're going to need people that are slowing down the pass game for other teams, so we're going to go Burke. Cowboys, another team that has just been outstanding this year, blowing people out left and right. We'll see how far they can get once they get to the playoffs, but they seem like legitimate contenders. They don't need a wide receiver. It's been kind of crazy that these guys are falling. I don't think that they actually fall in the draft. People will prioritize it or trade up to get them if they're in need. But being that the Cowboys are where they are, they need offensive line, but there's nobody really here that makes sense. I'm going to give them Barrett Carter. They definitely need linebacker help. So we're going to give them Carter, the other elite linebacker from Clemson. San Francisco's up. They need offensive line help pretty badly. I'm going to give them Suamatai. Hopefully I nailed that from BYU. Give them some help. Trent Williams is getting old. They need help on the right side for the time being, and then he could eventually transition to the left. Jaguars are up. To me, I don't think they end up picking this late once it gets to the playoffs. They've been up and down. I don't know that their offense is what we expected it to be. ETN has been a monster, but Trevor Lawrence has been underwhelming, not throwing for as many touchdowns as I expected. I could see them going wide receiver here. I know that it's not listed as a need, but with Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley, you give them a third elite option. Well, really a second elite option next to Ridley, and then you're able to keep Kirk in the slot and just move him all around. I'm going to give them Igbuka here. It's not a high need, but he's the best player on the board, and it's way too good of a value right here. And then the Chiefs, I'm going to give them Worthy. They need a wide receiver that's elite. Valdez-Scantling dropping a touchdown to beat the Eagles, I think, is clear. They need more talent there. I get it. Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and he can win with anybody, but eventually Travis Kelce's going to retire, and you are truly missing Tyreek Hill. They need somebody else that can make plays after the catch that's going to elevate Mahomes to the next level. Lions are up. They might need to figure out quarterback. It's probably time for them to get their next guy. I'm going to give them Jaden Daniels, and give Goff one more year and Daniels the year to learn under him. And then lastly, the Ravens, who I like having them pick here because I think they might win the Super Bowl the way that they're playing. They need secondary help, and they need to grow on the line. Mason Smith from LSU or Leonard Taylor makes a lot of sense. There's no true corners in this area that make a lot of sense. Kalen Carson. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Leonard Taylor out of Miami. And that is our first round draft. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Who would you take? Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, consider subscribing. I'll see y'all next time.